Hi guys, this is Mishel with Deception Bytes, and I am picking up from where we left off with the Q posts. And let's get started. This is who you're speaking with. It's a different picture. I've got rid of my blonde hair. Let's jump right in here. And not there. That's not where we are. Right here. Yeah. Okay. This is the next post right here. And Q says, God bless patriots. We are proud. Q. I don't think that needs any additional, elaboration. I think it means what it says. I don't see any secret message there. So I'm going to go on to the next one. And the next one says, bye-bye, Johnny. Now, who he's talking about is John Conyers. He has retired amid sexual allegations. He was an obstructionist Democratic puppet, and he's now been removed because he's retired. And Q says, update the list. Now, what list is he talking about? Well, he's talking about the list of congressional incumbents not seeking re-election in 2018. And the list is growing longer and longer. And oddly enough, it's mostly Republicans. So it's not just the Democrats that are being targeted. And if you'll remember from previous videos, Q had said that, about 70% of the government was corrupt and they couldn't prosecute everyone. So what they were going to do is they were going to make them a deal. And the deal was, don't seek re-election in 2018 and we'll let you walk. So it's quite obvious that many have taken this deal. And it's far too many to be a coincidence. So we know that this is true and this is what's happening behind the scenes. Not everything is public. We're told that only 20% of what is happening behind the scenes is being made public. So what we see is John Conyers retiring. We don't see everything that went on behind the scenes. So that is what's happening there. And this is an article about that, but I don't think I need to go out there. I think that we've all been aware of that in the news, that he is retiring and aware of his sexual allegations. Then Q says, watch the news. So I don't know what he's saying there. I mean, obviously we know that he keeps saying that the news unlocks the Q map. And it does, because we've proven that time and time again. Because I'm behind with these posts, I can see that he says something will happen and then it happens. So it does unlock the post. But also, he says, watch the news, because Conyers comes up again in a few more posts. So perhaps that is what he's referring to as well. I don't know, but that is something that we are admonished to do quite often by Q. And can I just say right here that I don't believe Q is one person. I really don't. Now, what I believe is really of no consequence, because we all have our opinions and none of us know for sure. But I believe that Q is a team of people. I believe that the president is fully aware and probably at the head of that team. It's obvious that he's aware because of the coordination between the posting on 8chan or 4chan and Trump's tweets. So we know that Trump is aware of this, and he's obviously he's not Q. Trump is not Q. He may be the head of the team, but he's not Q, because Trump doesn't have time to sit there and do all this stuff and ask all these things. And I'll tell you something, this person, whoever's doing it, knows psychology. They really do, because they're making us do the work. And that's pretty smart. That's like a phenomenal way to make somebody learn, is to ask some questions, because in the process of them going out and trying to dig for answers, they learn. So I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that Trump doesn't occasionally post something. I don't know. He may. But I just am pretty convinced that this is a team of people doing this. And I'm aware of what is being said on Alex Jones. I don't know. I really don't know. It's possible. It's possible. you know, I'm just not sure I trust Alex Jones. I mean, I agree with a lot of what he says, absolutely. And, you know, it's like, I'm not 100% sure he's not controlled opposition. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone had posted something and they said, did it ever occur to you that maybe the deep state is fighting the deep state? And I can't remember what I replied, but I think I replied something to the effect of, yeah, it most certainly has crossed my mind, and I've been thinking that from the very start. But again, my opinion doesn't matter. I'm not for Trump. I'm not against Trump. I am for the truth. And I don't know if either side has the truth. I don't know. I know that what has been happening, you know, with Hillary and Obama and all that is just plain corruption. I mean, evilness to the core. But that's all I'm willing to say. I don't know. I don't know. So I reserve judgment, and I just keep looking into these posts. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. So he says, watch the news, which is what we've been doing. And then he says war. Now, I believe that he's saying it's a war on the bad actors. That's what I believe he's saying there. And he signs off, as he always does, Q. Now, so you've got bye-bye, Johnny. Then you've got fly, Johnny, fly. So that's, you know, his he does that quite often with people. He'll say fly. So like as if they're leaving on an airplane. Okay. Next post after fly, Johnny, fly is, which needs no explanation really, is December 5th. And he says, fly, owl, fly. Runway lights being turned on. Fly high, Q. Well, what on earth is he talking about? He is talking about Al Franklin, because Al Franklin is about to leave willingly. Al will make an announcement 12/7. So this is 12/5. So he hasn't made that announcement yet. So isn't that interesting? Because if this was just a LARP and some teenager, you know, playing live action role playing, which it's pretty clear to anyone with a brain that this is not a LARP. But if it were, how would he know? How would this person know? So, you know, Al makes that announcement on 12/7, 17, 28, plus Democrats call on him to resign. And Al Franklin announcement was Thursday, December 7th. And 24 runway lights on, fly, Al, fly. And so let's just go out and take a look at this. Okay, more than 24 Democratic senators call on Franken to resign. I called him Franklin, sorry about that. The Minnesota senator plans to make an announcement on Thursday. More than a dozen Democratic senators, including the top Senate Democrat on Wednesday, called on Senator Al Franken to resign in the wake of multiple sexual misconduct allegations against him. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was the first of Franken's fellow Senate Democrats to take that step, and was quickly followed by more than 24 others. The first batch of resignation calls came from female senators, followed by a slew of male Democrats, and eventually the majority of the 48-member caucus. So, that's that. Now, this was posted on the 6th, okay? This came out in the news on the 6th. The announcement was made on the 7th, but Q posted it on the 5th. So how did he know? Well, he's obviously got, you know, a line into the, I mean, he's got the intel. There's no question about it. All right. And let's go up to the next one, which is a little interesting, if you ask me. Now, December 5th, an anonymous poster asks Q, anything you can say on the Deutsche Bank? And Q responds, fake news. So in other words, there are no subpoenas of Deutsche Bank and Trump's records. And Mockingbird Media made it up, as they do with many, many things. How they get away with it, I don't know. But according to Q, it is fake news. It's not true. So that news story is not true. So I'm not going to go into the story because Q is already telling us that it's not true, and we are trying to look at these through the eyes of Q, so I just don't see the necessity of going to this news thing and investigating something that he's saying is fake, but that's something that you can do if you wish, obviously, and if you find out anything interesting, please post it. I just don't have the time to investigate everything. I'm just one person. So anyway, December 5th, 2017, Q says, key unlocks the door of all doors. And then he tells us what the door of all doors is info. Stone. Now he's telling us what the keystone is. So all these guesses I've had previously about what the keystone could be, they were wrong. I'm just telling you that now because that's the point in this, is that as we progress, we progressively get closer to the right answers. And because Q is continually shaping us, he's continually saying, no, you're cold, cold or warm, hot, whatever. I mean, not really, but allegorically. So that's what he's been doing. He's been shaping us to get us to the right answer that he wants us to get to. And I'm saying he, but realize that this could be a team, it could be a she, it could be, whatever. So key unlocks the door of all doors, which is info. So that there's a key that's going to unlock information. The stone is the force. So keystone, the key unlocks information. The stone is the force or strength capable of yielding power to act on info. Key plus stone equals. And then he signs off, Q. Now, the key, we'll later find out, is Admiral Rogers, and he's the head of the NSA, and Wizards and Warlocks. The NSA data center is information. The U.S. military and the President of the United States is the force. So information plus force, as in one side of the equation has the info and the other has the force. POTUS has the ability to use military tribunals. So the NSA, Wizards and Warlocks, Admiral Rogers, the NSA data center, they have the information. Well, what do you do with the information? They can't do anything with it. They don't have the force to do anything with it. They don't have the authority to do anything with it. So who does? Well, the U.S. military and the POTUS. So it takes the information and it takes the force, the U.S. military and the POTUS, who really do have the authority to act on that information. It takes those two getting together to make something happen. And now it makes sense to me what the keystone is. Of course, it always does once somebody gives you the answer. But it was so easy. I mean, compared to, we were trying to find all sorts of convoluted things, but this makes perfect sense. Like, that information has been there the whole time, but nobody was willing to act on it because it would incriminate themselves or other people that they were close to. So it took the U.S. military and the POTUS to provide the authority to act on that information, that intel. So interesting. I think this is very, very interesting at this point. December 5th, Admiral Rogers, no such agency wizards and warlocks is what that is, plus POTUS / U.S. military. Apply the keystone. So key equals Admiral Rogers, no such agency, wizards and warlocks, and the stone is the POTUS and the U.S. military. And then he says, paint the picture. So, which is what I just did for you. And he signs off Q. Interesting. We now have the keystone. So, December 5th, an anonymous user asks Q, military intelligence, no such agency equals key. POTUS and patriots equals stone. Now, that's not exactly what he said. He didn't say POTUS and patriots. He said POTUS and U.S. military. But this person is saying POTUS and patriots equals stone. And Q acknowledges, doesn't add anything to it, just acknowledges. Okay, in terms of painting the picture, information gleaned via NSA is being used together with potential force of the U.S. military via the power of the presidency to force bad actors in the U.S. government to step down, retire, not seek election, which is essentially the draining of the swamp that is Washington, D.C., corrupt power structure. This is part of the 80% private, so as to not cause complete loss of faith in the U.S. government institutions by already disgusted public, as well as to avoid outright chaos and potential vigilantism. Due to revelations about so many people in government, undoubtedly this is also occurring in other countries as well, though the public may never notice or make the connection. So, and then we have this up here that Q acknowledges. And we have Q posting here. Well, actually, this is a reply to up here. Okay, someone has listed the politicians that are not seeking re-election here on December 5th. Now, that is of December 5th, as of December 5th. And there's the list. I'm not going to read them all because it's not important. I don't know all these people. I'm sure you don't either. Although you may. I don't know. Now, so an anonymous user posts this, okay? Then Q responds, and this is what he responds. And he is responding. We can tell that he's responding to this, like by this right here, corresponds to this post. So we know that he's responding to him or her. And Q is asking, normal? Like, is all these politicians retiring or not seeking election? Is that normal? Well, no, it's not. And then he says, coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence either, because Q has told us time and time again that as far as this stuff is concerned, there are no coincidences. Then he says, draining the swamp? Yep. That's what's being done. This is the process we're seeing. And we're seeing the outcome by this huge list of politicians that are not seeking re-election. So the swamp is being drained by forcing out corrupt bad actors. That's what's happening. It's happening behind the scene, but we are able to see little bits and pieces of it to encourage us that, yes, this is indeed happening. This isn't just somebody playing at posting these things. This stuff is actually happening. So, the next post, December 5th, we have this red in the form of a cross. So he's saying Red Cross. Now, what exactly he's talking about with the Red Cross, because we have covered many, many things in the last two videos. So I'm not exactly sure why he's bringing it up again, but Senator Grassley confirmed that the Red Cross was cooking the books using estimations instead of hard numbers, could not explain the usefulness of many other programs, and had ultimately gutted its ethic board and internal affairs mechanism. The Panama Papers firm used Red Cross to mask funds. I'm sure you guys have all heard of the Panama Papers. If not, I'm not going to go into that now. I'm wondering if I should. No, I'm not. Because I think we've all pretty much heard of that. And anyway, the Panama Papers released information on some pretty high movers and shakers that were masking or laundering or misappropriating or avoiding taxes, those things. So Red Cross was one of them. Red Cross threatened over unauthorized Panama Papers, and there's another article which I'm not going to go to. And then Red.org is Bono founded charity and pimped by Barack Obama recently on Kimmel Show. And it's interesting because remember how Q kept drawing our attention to the fact that he was posting that about Red, and then the next day there was the taping, and then the day after that there was the 25th, I think, was the first time it appeared in a stringer, like red_red. And then the 27th is when it was taped, that Obama taped that, and then the 28th, Obama was in Asia. So, and we know that somehow all of this is connected, that Red.org, Red Cross, Obama, and Asia, it's all connected. So it's interesting because his funds have been cut off. Barack Obama's funds have been cut off. So is he looking for money using charity slush fund? Is that what he's doing? Is that why he was on there, lending his name to this? Is Bono helping him? I don't know. It's possible. It's actually quite likely, to tell you the truth, because we know that he's desperate for money. He's got to be. His funds have been cut off. So who does he go to? There's not going to be a whole lot on his side at this point. Maybe his friend Bono. I don't know. So December 5th, Q says, Godfather 3. Be prepared for what you find. Q. Now, that sounds a little ominous. It really does. And I apologize because I've been negligent. I haven't really looked into the whole Godfather 3 thing. And I've heard different people say different things. So I know that probably some of you have. So if there is someone that has looked into this whole Godfather 3 thing, I don't even know what it's about. I hate those kind of shows, and I haven't seen the movies. I really don't even know what they're about. I know it's about crime, mafia, I guess, crime family. That's as far as I know. So if you know what Godfather 3 is about, I mean, I can go out and find that out too. But if you know why he's making reference to this, please leave it in the comments below. It will help me. It will help us all, at least those of us that don't know. And maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know. I don't know. But anyway, he's saying be prepared for what you find. So to me, that's suggesting that we might not be prepared for what we could find. It could be distressing or disturbing, because remember that Q has told us that if we really knew what was going on, that it would put most of us in the hospital. So I assume that Q is not prone to histrionics and that he is being truthful. And so whatever it is that we don't know must be pretty disturbing. And what it is, I don't know. Nothing at this point would surprise me. Nothing at all. Now, December 5th, again, was a very busy day for Q. He has 1+ before and after fly. Now, when he uses the 1+, it always refers to Soros. So that's who I strongly believe that he is referring to here. He's saying fly Soros. In fact, he's saying Soros, fly Soros. Then he's telling us the power structure here. And he's saying banks control governments, as in the Rothschilds, because we know that and this is my note here. I don't want to mislead anyone by thinking that Q said that. In case it's wrong, I don't think it is, but I've been wrong before. And this is my note as well. Okay. Banks control governments. We know that. We know that the Rothschilds, they actually control governments through the banking system. Governments control people. Well, the governments control the people through the puppets, like the politicians, like Hillary and Bill and the Obama. The politicians are controlling the people. Governments control people. So the Rothschilds control the governments puppets of the Rothschilds control the people, and Saudi Arabia controls the elected people. Okay, so I'm wrong. So governments control people, but Saudi Arabia controls the elected people, which would be Obama and Hillary and Bill and those people. That's who has in the past been controlling these people, is Saudi Arabia. Soros controls organizations of people. So, I mean, Soros controls like nonprofit groups and all sorts of, I'm not sure everything that he controls. He controls a lot. So that's what Q is telling us. That's how the power structure has been. And then he says, ready to play? Q. So let's go up to my notes on this. So the Rothschilds are at the top, obviously. They're the ones that are controlling the governments. And Saudi Arabia, they have the militant enforcement, rat lines, energy, but it's been neutralized, okay? And we know this because Q has told us that, and we've seen it in the news. We've seen the whole coup take place over there, and we know. Now, the middle is central banking cartel, next legs and head cut. The bottom is Soros, the media production control, and they're trapped, according to Q. Now, McMaster authorized spying on Trump, sent intel to Soros. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Trump White House weighing plans for private spies to counter deep state enemies. Now, this was December 4th, 2017, that this was posted online. The Trump administration is considering a set of proposals developed by Blackwater founder Eric Prince, which I have to tell you scares the crap out of me. I really, if that doesn't scare the crap out of you, you need to go out and research Eric Prince. Seriously. Anyway, is considering a set of proposals developed by Blackwater founder Eric Prince and a retired CIA officer with assistance from Oliver North, a key figure in the Iran-Contra scandal. And really go out there and research Oliver North, because, I don't know. All this gives me a headache. It really does. To provide CIA Director Mike Pompeo and the White House with a global private spy network that would circumvent official U.S. intelligence agencies, according to several current and former U.S. intelligence officers and others familiar with the proposals. The sources say the plans have been pitched to the White House as a means of countering deep state enemies in the intelligence community seeking to undermine Donald Trump's presidency. The creation of such a program raises the possibility that the effort would be used to create an intelligence apparatus to justify the Trump administration's political agenda. Pompeo can't trust the CIA bureaucracy, so we need to create this thing that reports just directly to him, said a former senior U.S. intelligence official with a first-hand knowledge of the proposals. In describing White House discussions, it is a direct action arm, totally off the books, this person said, meaning the intelligence collected would not be shared with the rest of the CIA or the larger intelligence community. Can you see a problem with this? Seriously? Can you see that this could potentially be a big problem? The whole point is that it's supposed to report to the president and Pompeo directly. Now, I understand what they're saying. I understand that they're saying the CIA is infected. I really understand that. But having a mercenary, which is what Eric Prince is, he led a private mercenary army, and that did the wet work, if you know what I mean. Having someone like that out there doing whatever and no accountability to anybody, this is a problem. I don't care what anybody says, and you just got to trust Trump. We shouldn't trust any man or woman, because we're all just flesh. That's it. We're all just flesh, and we need to be looking at this objectively. So yes, I think that it's wonderful what's being done behind the scenes, but stuff like this scares the crap out of me, and I'm just being honest with you. And please don't patronize me with comments like, oh, you just don't understand, because I understand more than you think I do. Anyway, the whole point is that this is supposed to report to the president and Pompeo directly. North, who appears frequently on Trump's favorite TV network, Fox News, was enlisted to help sell the effort to the administration. He was the ideological leader brought in to lend credibility. I don't know why Oliver North would lend credibility, but anyway. Said the former senior intelligence official. Some of the individuals involved with the proposal secretly met with major Trump donors, asking them to help finance operations before any official contracts were signed. I'm just, like I said, we don't all think alike, and none of us, you may vehemently disagree with me, and that's fine. I may vehemently disagree with some of the things you believe, but we can still glean from one another, because if, like I've said before, if two people agree on everything, one of them isn't necessary. But from where I've come from and what I've seen, this type of thing scares the crap out of me. So, yeah, I know what Blackwater did in Katrina. I'm quite aware. So anyway, okay, let's get back to this before I'm getting myself all fired up and all upset. Okay, now, what else should we take a look at? Okay, well, let's take a look at this. Or maybe not. I'm not able to open. I wonder why. Well, okay. Soros is a dual citizen and is caught by both U.S., Trump, and Hungary, Orban. Rothschild on the top, controlling governments and money through the central banks. We know that. Governments are subcontracted by the banks to control their respective populations. I think most of us know that. Literal answer, CIA / deep state, mind controlling people. Saudi Arabia is in the middle, controlling politics and so-called democracy by bribing with endless energy and other resources. I think we're aware of that, and that has been stopped, thank goodness. Soros is at the bottom, controlling humanitarian efforts, but are really just eyes on the ground to make sure situations are unfolding properly according to the agenda of the cabal. This includes migration and agitator groups like his Antifa, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberger's Council on Foreign Relations, Open Society Foundation, etc. So, now, this, after he talks about Soros, Rothschilds, Saudi Arabia, he says, just less than a minute later, he says, wonderful friends, Q. My take on this, and I could be entirely wrong, is that he's being a little sarcastic. Because, he's talking about this. Soros and the banks controlling the governments, and the governments controlling people, and Saudi Arabia controlling the elected people, Soros controlling organizations, and then he says, wonderful friends. Q. To me, now, it's hard sometimes when you're reading something on a page to pick up the innuendos, but I read that as him being a little sarcastic. You know, nothing wrong with that. That's how I would view that post. Now, you may have a different take on that, but that's how I see that. Now, December 6th, all that to get through December 5th. That was a lot. He was busy that day. December 6th, goodbye, Al. Add to the list. And then he says, fly, Sid, fly. Q. So Al Franken, Democrat, he's stepping down for inappropriate sexual conduct, not content. And fly, Sid, fly. You know what? I'm not sure. I thought I had researched that, and I didn't. Wow. The nerve of me. I thought for sure that I had. Apparently I haven't. Okay, so let's move on, and I'll have to come back to this when I know the answer, because I thought I had looked into this, but I evidently didn't, because I didn't, put a note, and I can't think off the top of my head who that might be. So, December 6, 2017. Now look at this. Hillary Rodham Clinton tried to cut a deal today. We said no. Q. Well, there's nothing we need to look into there, because that's not in the news or anything else, and it's pretty straightforward. No secret messages there. She tried to cut a deal. We said no. Q. Now, December 6, 2017. Why is the first of all, this anonymous poster is asking Q a question. Q, can you confirm? And then he's pointing to a post here. He's saying, can you confirm this post? And the post is this down here. See, he's saying this is aimed toward 45424. Well, 45424 is this post about Hillary trying to cut a deal. And so this person is saying, Q, can you confirm regarding the post about Hillary trying to cut a deal? And this is how Q responds. He says, why is the SS now protecting key members of no such agency? Well, the only thing I can think of, there have to be really grave threats against those members to require SS protection. This indicates that the acts taken by NSA are of sufficient importance to be a threat to the cabal and its network of bad actors. That's the only thing I can think of. So down here, Hillary's trying to cut a deal. We said no. And now up here, he's saying the SS is protecting members of the NSA. Well, who is it that has the information on Hillary? The NSA. So that would make sense, right? That they would need protection. And certainly because of the long body count behind the Clintons. Very, very, very long body count. And I think any of us that have been around the block even once are aware of that. If not, look up Clinton body count and you will be astounded. So yeah, no wonder they need protection. My gosh, if I had information on Hillary, I'd want protection too. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get on a plane either, or I'd check my brakes when I got into the car. I mean, these things tend to happen around her. So anyway, let's go on. December 6th. Watch the news. Leakers exposed. These people are stupid. Q. Now, I'm sorry, doesn't that sound like, that sounds like Trump to me. These people are stupid. Okay. It might be, it might not be. It might be somebody that's been around Trump and has picked up Trumpisms. Anyway, the Inspector General's report expected to reveal 27 names of FBI leakers per Sean Hannity, Fox News, and Circa. So that's what that's about. Now, December 6th, Q says, "We represent you. Never forget that. We never will. Make America great again. Q." Now, I think that's pretty straightforward. You can't get any more straightforward than that. I don't think there's any secret message there. I don't think there's anything coded into there. I think he's just giving us a little bit of reassurance. We represent you. Never forget that. We never will. Make America great again. Q. So let's move on. We're burning through these now. Okay, December 6th, an anonymous user asks, "I have a question. The 10 days of darkness," and he's referencing that post. He says, "I have a question. The 10 days of darkness, when?" Now, Q is answering, and you can tell by this little thing and that he's directing it towards this person. He's directing his post towards this person who asked this. So Q just says shut down. That's it. So something's going to be shut down for 10 days. And I believe, if I'm not totally mistaken, that he did shut down for 10 days. So I'd have to check that because I'm behind. So I've kind of been keeping half an ear on the current stuff, but not totally. So I do believe that he did go dark for 10 days. Okay. Now, here's the next one, December 6th. Again, it was a busy day for Q. He's directing this at, I'm not sure. Oh, he's directing this at the post about Sarah and John. Why are Sarah, no, where is he directing this? 45569. 45569. I don't know. 455. I don't know. 45563. I don't know. Anyway, he's saying, Q is saying, why are Sarah and John getting all the real scoops? Expand your thinking. Why are they now under protection? Okay. Now, Trump tweeted, okay, let's go out and look at it. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words if you actually see it for yourself. Okay. House Judiciary breaking announced. Okay, this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe it is on here. Sorry. Hang with me for a second. I don't know. I think it was I think it was Trump that, oops. Hang on. Okay, Sarah is good people. I think that was said by Trump, but I thought I had the Trump Twitter, but apparently I don't. Sarah and John are being given real information because they are trusted to relay it honestly to the people and are not embedded agents of the CIA or working for the cabal. John Solomon, The Hill, and Sarah Carter of Circa News. They have been threatened for refusing to work on behalf of the CIA or the cabal, either for their protection or to set up a new construct, different public players, but continuity for deep state after throwing a few burned assets under the bus Fall Guys. So why are they now under protection? Well, they've been threatened for refusing to work on behalf of the CIA or the cabal. So there you go. Now, let's go out and take a look at this. And why Sean Hannity's juiciest blockbusters come from Circa News. Sean Hannity is a big fan, and its critics say Circa News is a dedicated messenger for the Trump White House, but Circa claims it is aimed at independent-minded millennials. Back in 2001, when Silicon Valley entrepreneur Matt Galligan was helping to launch Circa, a mobile news app pitched to consumers who like their journalism, no frills, in short, concise bursts, Circa's basic precept was boldly counterintuitive. At a moment when American media outlets had established a profitable business model exploiting the entertainment values and tribal urges of partisan polarization, witnessed the success of Fox News, The Drudge Report, and even MSNBC and CNN, Galligan and his Circa co-founders Ben Hugh and Arsenio Santos worked very, very hard to build a platform that would be as neutral as possible, Galligan told the Daily Beast. We build features into our CMS content management system that requires our writers to cite their sources because it was helpful to have a paper trail and we wanted our readers to be able to fact check us, Galligan added. Neutrality and accuracy, those were our core tenets. Circa went live in October 2012, raised nearly $6 million in venture capital, and became an instant sensation in the tech and business press, notably a December 2014 feature in Wired magazine that chronicled Circa's nimble news-breaking capabilities and easy digestible bytes. But the experiment ultimately floundered for lack of finances. The company suspended operations in June 2015 and searched for a corporate buyer. Several promising discussions with Twitter came to naught. CNN made an offer only to withdraw it at the last minute. In late 2015, less than a year after the Wired Valentine, Circa was purchased for an estimated $800,000 by Sinclair Broadcast Group, the nation's biggest owner of local television stations. Sinclair owned by more than 170 stations currently, but if its $3.9 billion acquisition of Tribune Media receives regulatory approval, that number could conceivably grow to more than 230 stations across 108 television markets, including the widely watched cable channel WGN. Sinclair promptly remade Circa into its own image, yet has stoutly denied reports in both Politico and the Washington Post that it cut an access for favorable coverage deal with Donald Trump's presidential campaign. It was recently the target of a John Oliver takedown as a powerful purveyor of right-wing nonsense. Discarding the original vision and replacing it with what critics claim is a stealthy emphasis on right-leaning, Trump-friendly content, Sinclair launched Circa News last July and in recent months has become a favorite of Sean Hannity among other Fox News personalities, along with embattled presidential son, John Trump Jr., a serial retweeter of Circa News stories. Tenacious White House talking head Sebastian Gorka and alt-right populist Trumpkin Mike Cernovich. I'm a fan. They're doing great work, Cernovich told the Daily Beast. I think it's a cool trend that you have news sites with names like Axios and Circa that almost sound like think tanks. It gives a fresh coat of paint to the media. I think Circa's working the other side of the street from the mainstream media. There are two sides to every story, and Circa's telling the other side of the story. About time. As for Circa News, national security reporter Sarah Carter, Cernovich said, she becomes a real player, that's for sure. Carter is a frequent guest on Hannity to discuss her blockbuster stories, alleging various improprieties by former President Obama's national security advisor, Susan Rice, and fired FBI Director James Comey, and casting doubt on rival media reports of possible Trump campaign collusion with Russia, often alongside pugnacious Trump attorney Jay Sekulow, with whom Carter is said to be close. Don Jr., meanwhile, is also a fan of Carter and Circa News, tweeting a link to a Carter story in late June and adding, did the FBI retaliate against Michael Flynn by launching Russia probe? Circa News, learn, think, do. The story co-bylined, like several others, with then Circa News chief operating officer John Solomon, a one-time Newsweek Daily Beast employee who on Monday abruptly left Circa News to run the digital operation of Washington The Hill's newspaper, was widely touted in Trump-friendly media, especially Fox News. It suggested that President Trump's fired national security advisor, currently under criminal investigation for allegedly lying to federal law enforcement officers, is the target of FBI revenge for his support in 2014 of a sexual discrimination complaint filed against the brass by Supervisory Special Agent Robin Gritz. Gorka clearly agrees with Young Don, exhorting Sean Hannity on May 16 during a Fox News appearance in which he lamented the mushrooming White House leaks, the dishonest media, and the supposed misconduct of Comey. And Rice, you have to keep doing what you do. Sarah Carter has to keep doing what she does, because you've nailed it, Sean. When Sean Hannity gets to the bottom of that Rice's so-called unmasking of Flynn's discussion of sanctions with the Russian ambassador and the subsequent leak to the Washington Post, we will have a story that makes Watergate look like a fairy tale. Circa News is considered so friendly to the Trump White House that the New York Times reported last Tuesday night that the president's personal attorney, Mark E. Kasowitz, was planning to use the site to counter all the damaging stories in the legacy media surrounding Don Jr.'s Russia email debacle. With the benefit of hindsight, Mike Galligan said the sale of Circa to Sinclair was unavoidable if unfortunate. When you're between a rock and a hard place, you choose the path of least resistance, said Galligan, who last week tweeted, "I'm so upset to see the Circa brand we worked so hard to build with truth and neutrality at its core be twisted into what it is now." He added, "This is not seller's remorse. There wasn't anything else we could do, but they're eroding all of the goodwill we had generated, and it's just heartbreaking to know that something we had worked so hard to do is, why can't I read this? Now there's a large effort being made to elevate the brand, la 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 la." Okay, so I think that's all the important stuff in there anyway. I'm not going to read this whole thing because I'm stumbling all over myself and it's annoying me, so it's got to be really annoying you. Okay, so that's why they're getting the scoops, because they have integrity and they've been getting the story right, according to Q. So, is this the same? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. So this was the first part of this where Anonymous tweeted this, "Sarah is good people," and this was the response. Okay, now I understand. This was the first part of this. This Anonymous poster posted this and was asking Q, referenced the Twitter and said, "Sarah is good people." And this is Q's response. "Why are Sarah and John getting all the real scoops? Expand your thinking. Why are they now under protection?" Okay. All right. Let's go on. All right. Now, December 6th. Q says, "Owl back in the news today after Fly, Owl, Fly." Remember when he said watch the news? Well, he's back in the news. Another coincidence? Follow the news. Merry Christmas, Q. And this was an article basically about more accusers coming forward. So it's interesting that back on the 5th, it was the 5th, he said watch the news after he said fly, owl, fly. And then on the 6th, there's more that comes out. So just interesting. Now, I am going to break here because I haven't fully investigated this post yet, and I certainly don't want to talk about something that I haven't fully looked into yet. So I'm going to break there for this evening. I'm not sure. I may post another video tonight. I'm not sure. I've had a lot of work to do today in terms of schoolwork, so I can't promise anything, but I'll try. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you all for continuing to watch these and listen and write comments and be so kind. I really appreciate it. I've got awesome listeners and it doesn't go unnoticed. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night and I will talk to you soon. Good night.